tub in his pen. Ed got the men wet. The men got wet. It is not fun to get wet, to get Ed mad. Good for Ed, right?
Yeah.
The man set the bag in the pen. The man let Ed get it. The wet men ran to the bus. Ed is not sad. Ed has his bag. Ed has his nap on his rug.
Nap on his rug.
That's the story about Ed.
Now this one about frogs.
Frogs by Gail Gibbons. It is springtime at a pond. A jelly-like cluster of eggs float among the water weeds at the pond's surface. These eggs are the beginning of frogs. A breeze ripples the surface. The floating clump of eggs is called frog spawn. Frogs lay their eggs in water or wet places. Otherwise, the eggs could dry up and die. These eggs do not have shells. They are inside jelly-like coverings. As they float, the jelly lets the sun's warmth come through to the eggs inside. Not all the eggs will survive. Most of the time, the large and slimy mass of eggs is too slippery and too big to be eaten. This is nature's way of protecting them. But some of the smaller clusters of eggs will be eaten by creatures living in or near the pond. The dark centers of the eggs slowly grow into frog embryos.
What does embryo mean?
It's a very small baby that's just starting to move and wiggle. But it's not born yet. Okay? The embryos grow until they look like small tadpoles. Tadpoles are frog babies. As they grow, they feed off
These
their...
are tadpoles.
Yep, they're starting to look like tadpoles. As they grow, they feed off their own egg yolks. The tadpoles grow until they are big enough to break free into the water. It can take from 3 days to 3 weeks for this to happen, depending on what kind of frogs they will become. One by one, the tadpoles hatch from their eggs. They each have a head, tail, and body. The tadpoles wiggle their tails to swim. The tadpoles breathe by getting air from the water through feathery outside gills. As they swim, they eat very small plants that stick to larger plants. These tiny plants are called algae. One week later, the tadpoles look different. They are bigger. Their gills begin to shrink. A flap of skin slowly grows over them. The tadpoles' mouths become hard with tiny teeth in their upper jaws. Now the tadpoles are 1 month old. Their outside gills have disappeared. New gills inside the tadpole take oxygen from the water. Their trails are wider for stronger swimming. Something wonderful begins to happen. At the base of their tails, bulges appear. This is where their hind frog legs are growing. Right here, it shows the bulge. Their legs are growing there. At 2 months old, the tadpoles dart about the pond as they eat. They are still vegetarians. Vegetarians only eat plant life. The tadpoles get bigger. Now they have hind legs. Behind their heads, bulges appear where their front legs are growing. Their tails become smaller. The tadpoles' gills inside their bodies are gone. They have grown lungs to use for breathing, like we have, right?
Yeah.
Lungs in here where the air goes when you breathe. Now and then they wiggle to the surface to breathe in air. The tadpoles are about 3 months old. Again, they look different. They have front legs. Their tails are even smaller. They have shed their tadpole skin and lips. At last, they have the wide mouths of frogs.
Now the frogs.
The tadpoles have become tiny frogs. They climb out of the pond and onto the land. Their tails will become smaller and smaller until they finally disappear. The tiny frogs begin to eat insects and worms. They aren't vegetarians anymore. Frogs are amphibians. The word amphibian comes from a Greek word that means 2 lives. An amphibian can live on land or in the water. Frogs are cold-blooded. That means their inside body temperatures are about the same as the outside temperature. During the next few years, the tiny frogs will grow to be mature frogs. They will be able to make their own frog spawn, and there will be new baby frogs. Frogs have many body parts. Frogs don't hunt for food. Their big eyes are on top of their heads so they can see all the way around. They stay very still. When something flies or crawls nearby, their long, sticky tongues dart out to catch it. They swallow their food whole. Frogs that swim use their powerful hind legs and webbed feet to push them through the water. Frogs have 2 sets of eyelids. One set is transparent so they can see through them. When frogs dive, they close these eyelids to protect their eyes. It's like goggles. They have 2 sets of eyelids. Inside their eyelids that closes their eyes, they have another one that closes, but they can see through it like a diving mask. They kind of have built-in swimming goggles, don't they? They want to go underwater, they close their clear eyelids. Transparent is the same as clear. They close these eyelids to protect their eyes. On land, the frogs hop about. They use their very strong hind legs to leap. Most frogs can jump 10 times their body length. They are wonderful jumpers. Frogs have enemies. Snakes, foxes, rats, birds, and other creatures eat frogs when they can catch them. A sudden leap is a quick escape from danger. For protection, some frogs have skin glands that make them taste bad, or even make them poisonous. Sometimes their skin color hides them from enemies. This is called camouflage.
Yes.
Frog. Frogs make different sounds. Often male frogs call their mates this way. They pull air into sacs in their throats. The air sacs expand to look like bubbles. When frogs force the air...
Yeah, that is a bullfrog.
Yeah, when frogs force the air out of their air sacs and into their lungs, the air passes over their vocal cords, which vibrate to make sound. They make different calls that mean different things. Sometimes frogs are very loud. When it's cold in the winter, the frogs go to sleep.
No, they hibernate.
Sometimes they find sheltered hollows. Yes, they hibernate. Often frogs dig into the muddy bottom of a pond. All winter they sleep covered with mud. They stay completely motionless. This is called hibernation. In the springtime, when the sun begins to warm up the ground and the pond's water, the frogs come out of hibernation. They are healthy and hungry. People who know a lot about frogs are called herpetologists. They spend lots of time watching and waiting to learn more about these animals. Experts tell us there are more than 3,800 different kinds of frogs.
There's some cheap frogs.
Frogs play an important role in the balance of nature. They keep insects under control by eating so many of them. Also, frogs are food for other animals. Frogs are many different sizes, shapes, and colors. It is fun to learn about them. You can be a frog expert too. The difference between a frog and a toad. Okay, that was fun. I'm a little too tired to read anymore right now.
Yes, do the shark kite. Shark kite. I'm gonna fly the shark kite.
Alright, you know what, you helper? You guys ready for jackets again? Getting cold? a couple things real quick.
Why? I want to watch a video.
You do, but it isn't time. It's not the time at Dad's house. Except sometimes if you're lucky and it's also dark.
Oh.
Ellie, where does that end of that string go? How far away is the kite? Let's start rolling it up.
No far away. See?
Not far away? McKenna here. McKenna.
Not far
McKenna.
away.
Hey. McKenna, come here. Start rolling this up. Follow the string and roll it as you go.
Here
Let's
the
try
shark.
not to let the string get tangled.
Here the shark comes.
Yep, here it comes.
Roar, 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 roar. Roar, 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 roar. Watch out, I'm coming. Roar, 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 roar. Don't be no roars. Roar, don't stop. I will roll you up so good. Roar, 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 roar. Here's my pond. Roar, roar, roar.
not do that. Let's leave it together, please. Don't fight over it, you'll break that. Kites aren't real strong because they have to make them lightweight so they fly good. And so they have to use stuff they're made out of is sometimes not the strongest.
Daddy, can
you guys maybe not take the kite apart?
Don't take it apart. Yes, sir.
So that if you want to fly it some other day when there is wind, it'll be ready to go.
Roar, roar, roar. Stop it!
Look, don't fight over it. Don't stop.
Oh, goodness.
What happened, Kelly? What did
I
you...
wanted to take it apart, so I took it apart. and
Okay,
then
that's
it
fine. We're either going to take it all the way apart or put it together and leave it together.
Put it together and leave it together.
Let's leave it together. That's the best
No.
idea.